The objective reality of the world is the natural state of the free market is deflation. And just like you just did, nodded your head, people will nod their head with that statement, and they'll agree, and they know that we have to create in a free market more value for somebody else to be paid. And we both we have to create the more value, and then we use things that create more value. Now let's say what Bitcoin did. It's an open, decentralized, secure protocol bounded by energy. And if it stays decentralized and secure, which I'm pretty sure it will, why am I pretty sure it will? Because it's the nodes, the consensus mechanism, and tens of thousands of nodes who know this problem now and are defending this network. And so it's very, very hard to cheat.
Bitcoin is currently trading around $110,000, but unlike past rallies, the momentum has cooled, and the market has shifted into a more bearish phase. Analysts point to macroeconomic headwinds, regulatory uncertainty, and risk-off investor sentiment as factors pressing down on its price. While this downturn has shaken out speculative excess, many experts argue that it highlights Bitcoin's resilience. Its long-term fundamentals remain intact, even when short-term price action looks grim. Some suggest that once the broader economy stabilizes, Bitcoin could re-emerge stronger, with the bearish period serving as a necessary reset before the next major cycle. This perspective connects directly to the deeper philosophy behind Bitcoin. The natural state of a free market is deflation, where prices decline as innovation creates more value for society. In a truly free economy, wealth is earned only by delivering greater value to others, not by manipulating money supply or inflating away purchasing power. Bitcoin reflects this principle at its core. As a decentralized, energy-limited protocol, it is secured by tens of thousands of nodes distributed worldwide, ensuring fairness and making manipulation nearly impossible. In other words, Bitcoin's current bearish trend doesn't undermine its purpose, it reinforces it. Price fluctuations are part of the adjustment process as the world continues to grapple with inflationary fiat systems and the disruptive nature of sound digital money. As Jeff Booth noted in a recent discussion with Bitcoin Magazine, if Bitcoin remains decentralized and secure, it will continue to offer a form of money rooted in free market principles and real value creation. That makes its temporary downturn less of a failure and more of a reflection of a market still learning to price a technology designed to reshape the global economy. Let's bring you more clips from the interview. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more content. Enjoy the video.
The objective reality of the world is the natural state of the free market is deflation. And just like you just did, nodded your head, people will nod their head with that statement, and they'll agree, and they know that we have to create in a free market more value for somebody else to be paid. And we both we have to create the more value, and then we use things that create more value. So how, with us at the center of that equation, could that not be true? So so it is true. It's an objective reality,
Right.
Which think of what that means. It means we have never lived in a reality. We've never lived in that reality. We've never lived in a global free market. And so you have a perception of how the world needs to be wired, largely driven by our reaction within it. So it's not them, it's us. And that's really hard to understand, the implications of all of the things you've done in the other system that cause pain in the world. And the more that you lean in to try to solve the system problem from the system, the more you make it worse. And so there is no fix from there. And so why this is such a challenge is effectively the consciousness, your conscious decisions within your, whether unconscious or conscious decisions within that system, perpetuate that problem. And you don't want to admit that it's you. That's really the hardest thing. It's easier to put your head in the sand and just say it's somebody else rather than you. And so why this is every individual on the planet trying to understand this and then moving their time from one system to another system that's what it would look like, and that's why you can also easily look at the chaos that's coming from both systems and how they operate from that point of view. We've never had a global free market. So we've always played a zero-sum game, and from within that zero-sum game, people are playing this game, and they don't know that they're losing, because the global free market you're playing an infinite game. Everybody wins. And so if you were in, say, the UK or the British Empire, when the sun never sets on the British Empire, if you're inside that and you're the winner at someone else's loss, you don't see the pain inflicted in somebody else somewhere else in Africa or the likes, because you're at the top of the global game. Same thing in the US today. People can start to feel it, but they haven't felt what's actually happening all around the world because of that global game that they're winning. Now let's say what Bitcoin did. It's an open, decentralized, secure protocol bounded by energy. And if it stays decentralized and secure, which I'm pretty sure it will, why am I pretty sure it will? Because it's the nodes, the consensus mechanism, and tens of thousands of nodes who know this problem now and are defending this network. And so it's very, very hard to cheat. And as more people know this network, it provides a base level for humanity that is a different structure. And what would you ask? What is it doing to the other control structure? It's completely repricing, and not just repricing, but changing the entire lens of society. And it's just very early. So if you think you're making 8% a year, and inside that other system, and the money supply is rising by 8% a year, and you're actually just losing money. In Bitcoin versus that other system, the IRR is 45%.
Right.
Then you're being repriced whether you know it or not. And so that base level, that honest level, that essentially truth, that objective reality. Or ask a different question. If the natural state of the free market was deflation, which it clearly is, and now you had a protocol bounded by energy that you couldn't cheat, what would you expect to see? You would expect to see falling prices forever from the honest protocol. And then now what do we see? We see exactly that. My house was 300 Bitcoin 5 years ago. Now it's 11 Bitcoin. It'll continue. My energy prices look the same. It's perfectly describing objective reality. Well, most people are measuring it from a perspective reality. So over time, and I've written about this, money is subordinate to law. And so laws always change to control money, and the people at the top of the money control the laws, and they change. And by the way, if it didn't look like that, you'd expect the places with the most broken money to have the best laws protecting citizens.
Right. Yeah.
So you can see what ends up happening. And by the way, the free market has always existed, and in those countries, you have a black rate for money, and
Yes.
and posted rate. And a different market exists for the free market. So you can expect what would happen out of more and more coercion. And remember what the coercion is doing as well. As it's trying to do this, all of your digital identity is also tracked, and you're inside an AI system controlled by the same money that everybody is making stronger and stronger with all of their actions in this. And it looks very dystopian. Now that if you're measuring from that system, you could get very fearful of what would happen.
Yep.
But what would naturally that create? That would create the opportunity to solve problems for humanity. That would create all of the value outside of that. So we're just very early in that happening on Bitcoin, but that's where all of the opportunity is moving. It's beautiful, and it's exploding, and it cannot be stopped. It won't be stopped because we are it. Right. And so we won't live in cages. Humans won't live in cages. And so it provides, even though this is unknown by most of the planet, that's what entrepreneurs always do. Entrepreneurs go and solve the problem that people don't know they have yet. And if they're right, they create tons of value. So now If a country is trying to suppress that value will move to somewhere else.
Right.
It won't be stopped.
Bitcoin is contending with technical weakness and seasonal pressure, yet underlying support and historical patterns could set the stage for stabilization, or even a rebound, if broader market conditions improve. Market analysts note that Bitcoin's ability to hold above the $107,000 to $109,000 zone is crucial. A decisive break below this range could trigger a slide toward $100,000, a level many consider a psychological floor. Conversely, a bounce back above $113,000 may open the path toward $118,000, signaling renewed bullish momentum. Beyond the charts, macroeconomic forces continue to shape Bitcoin's trajectory. Rising bond yields, persistent inflation concerns, and regulatory headwinds in both the US and Europe have pressured risk assets across the board. Still, long-term investors argue that Bitcoin's scarcity and decentralization make it uniquely positioned as a hedge against monetary debasement. Institutional accumulation, particularly from ETFs and corporate treasuries, remains a supportive factor, suggesting that downside may be limited compared to past bear cycles. Historically, September has been a challenging month for Bitcoin, but post-correction recoveries have often marked the beginning of fresh rallies. If the current pullback follows this script, patient investors could see the bearish phase as a strategic accumulation opportunity rather than a long-term threat. Let's go back to the interview and watch more clips to gain insights from Jeff Booth.
They have to start using something like Bitcoin, and then law, as you said, is sort of something that follows suit.
Every different country will experience this differently.
Yeah.
And a simple equation would be in Venezuela, why did most people stay in the system when they could have bought Bitcoin?
Right.
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 And those people that stayed in the system where the Bitcoiners got out of Venezuela because they had wealth and the capital and everything else, they could just move across the border with words in their head.
Yep.
The other people got stuck, and coercion and control got worse and worse and worse. And then you have marches on the street, millions of people marching on the street, making it stronger. And it's not it doesn't change, and it keeps on. And all of those people getting hurt more and more and more. So it's not that it doesn't exist. It's just most people don't have agency. They don't know what's happening.
Right.
So they don't take their agency. Now, where's that different from the people that you know? You've mentioned Bitcoin Data, which is just beautiful people all around the world that just found out and started learning and then started contributing more of their time to the honest system, the open system. And from contributing their time to the honest system, helped so many other people, inspired other people, and moved more time. And their lives just got better and better and better as they moved their time to the honest system. And just about everyone I know in the system, they're doing the same thing, and they're disengaging from that other system and moving more time. And their disengagement from the system based on corruption is the thing that they're seeing in the free market shine back at them. Why would that make sense? Because free market values impact on other people. It makes perfect sense. The only way to get paid in the free market is to provide more value to somebody else. So if you had this massive change in something that has never existed before, that was an expression of the free market, but most people didn't know, if you really knew and you knew how to connect to those people in all different ways, creating businesses that protected them from what's coming, creating educational content to help those people, the more people you helped, the better you would do. Because the free market, you cannot get paid in the true free market without competing to provide value.
Right.
With the entire world. So if you're competing to provide value, you have to be really good at your craft, because you could compete and now that is exactly what's happening. You have this new protocol that's largely so misunderstood. It's so misunderstood even by a bunch of Bitcoiners who think they understand it because it's so new, right? And what people are doing is they're integrating a former reality, trying to make those work together.
Right.
And they can't. Right. So if the free market, the natural state of the free market is deflation, that cannot coexist with an inflationary monetary system. One has to kill the other. And so what's happening right now is all of the early value, just like early internet, if you were in the internet, and it was a new protocol that was changing everything. The value would be captured by the people that are building on to the new protocol.
Yep.
And so that's what, but in this way, it doesn't get captured, because if you capture value and somebody else sees the margin go up and you're making a ton of money from that, then they will compete with you and prices keep falling for everyone else, because in the free market, prices continue to fall forever because we have to provide more value. It's a perfect expression of providing more value. And if you measure Bitcoin against that, you'll see a perfect reality unfolding, the first global free market that's ever existed.
Or is there going to be greater pushback on something like Bitcoin because it is challenging the current system, the current monetary and financial system?
There's going to be a ton of pushback. Just what I described as far as that system of coercion. There is no halfway. It has to be a totalitarian control system with you in it, or a free market.
Yeah.
These systems are opposite. And so your choice within which system is what gives the system power.
Yeah.
And so now you should take that and make your choice. And each person will make their choice. But what I will say is that free market through hope, energy, truth, abundance is the reflection of what I see. I wouldn't have known this 7 years ago. By moving my time into this system,
right,
what would happen to my life and who I would meet and what met you, and all of these really beautiful people that are building to an abundant future. Not only that, so in Ego Death, the companies we're investing in, a lot of those companies are going from seed stage to massive growth and profitability, for profitability in Bitcoin. So you're adding Bitcoin to the balance sheet each month by solving market problems that move society forward. Let's imagine, I don't, because I don't want to do the opposite, but let's imagine I controlled 100,000 Bitcoin, or you controlled 100,000 Bitcoin, and prices kept falling and falling and falling and falling. But that wouldn't, so you would have purchasing power, but you'd have no more control.
Okay.
So what would you do? What would you do with your purchasing power? Right? You would spend it. You would donate it. You would do, because it would be in time. It would be infinite purchasing power.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't give you more control of the system. It would give you more purchasing power. And what would you do with your overspending versus your value to society?
Yeah,
you'd be distributing your Bitcoin.
I agree with that mostly. My only fear there is, what if people didn't have such good intentions and they wanted to start, I don't know, enslaving others, because now they have this extra purchasing power and they can make people who have less Bitcoin do something. That's my only fear with this stuff.
But what would they do with it if prices were globally falling over and over and over? They would be distributing to the people that they were hiring to say.
Oh, that's true.
They would be distributing their Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So so they have to. The only way they can compete and get more is by providing more value to society than they're consuming. Otherwise, they have to distribute the Bitcoin. I build a standing army to control everyone. What am I doing? I'm distributing my Bitcoin. I think that's the hardest thing. All of these institutions, which people believe are protecting them.
Yep.
You have to ask, where does the money come from
to
protect them? And it comes from more and more theft from those people.
Yep.
That keeps them locked into a system of rising prices forever, so that it gets more and more control.
Yep.
And it's coming from them. And the opposite system, that's why it's so hard. And we're trying to fit these two models together when they can't fit together.
Yep.
Jeff Booth explained that in places like Venezuela, many people stayed trapped in failing systems because they lacked the means or freedom to switch to something like Bitcoin. Those who did hold Bitcoin often had the capital and mobility to leave, while others faced worsening control and coercion. This shows how many individuals lack agency, the ability to choose and act, and don't even fully understand the system that keeps them stuck. Bitcoin has created a community of people who are learning, contributing, and moving more of their time into a transparent, open system, improving their lives as they do so. He emphasized that in a true free market, the only way to earn is by providing real value to others. If you help more people through education, solutions, or services, you'll succeed. But Bitcoin is still widely misunderstood, even by some who think they know it well. Jeff Booth noted there's a fundamental clash between Bitcoin's deflationary nature and the current inflationary monetary system, which cannot coexist. The value from this new protocol will keep shifting toward those building on it, reflecting the first true global free market. He also warned that there will be strong resistance from existing systems because Bitcoin challenges their coercive control. He sees no middle ground, either total control or genuine freedom. The power lies with individuals making choices, and as more people opt for free, honest systems, the momentum shifts even amid efforts by entrenched powers to maintain control. This dynamic fuels growth and innovation outside the current financial order. Do you think Bitcoin's decentralized and secure system can overcome the resistance from traditional financial powers? Please drop your thoughts in the comments below, share this video, and hit your thumbs on the like button. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.